You don't belong in this family, Samantha said, her arms crossed. A smirk stretched across her face. I'd heard that tone before, the one dripping with fake concern, like she was just stating a fact for my own good. And then came the worst part. My mother sitting at the kitchen counter, sipping her tea, nodding along like this was some universal truth. She's right, Mom said simply. I turned to Dad, the last possible lifeline. He didn't even look up from his phone. Yeah, he muttered. Maybe it's better this way. For a second I just stood there, trying to process whether they had actually planned this together. I could practically hear Samantha rehearsing the lines in her room, the way she always did, charming, manipulative, scheming. She had spent years turning them against me, subtly planting the idea that I didn't fit. And now they finally believed her. I exhaled, grabbed my jacket off the chair and shrugged. Well, I said, forcing a grin, guess I'll save you the trouble. Then I walked out. No one stopped me. Samantha's smirk widened. Mom went back to her tea. Dad didn't even blink. I shut the door behind me and stepped into the night air. It was quiet, almost too quiet. And here's the thing, it didn't hurt. Not the way they wanted it to. I wasn't like Samantha, desperate for approval, bending over backward for their praise. I had known for a long time that I was nothing more than an afterthought in this family. Love, support. That was for Samantha, the golden child. Me, they tolerated me. That was the best I got. So no, it wasn't heartbreak that hit me as I left. It was relief. That night I crashed at Jake's apartment. When I told him what had happened, we cracked open a cheap bottle of whiskey and laughed about it. Dude, they did you a favor, Jake said, clinking his glass against mine. Samantha probably thinks she's the queen of the house now. She always did, I muttered. And it was true. Samantha had been working up to this moment for months. Little comments, subtle digs, carefully placed doubts whispered into my parents' ears. It wasn't enough for her to be the favorite, she wanted me gone. Well, congratulations, sis. You got your wish. 2 days passed. 2 days of absolute peace. No Samantha. No passive-aggressive comments from Mom. No Dad muttering about how I could be doing better. Just silence. I made myself at home in my tiny apartment. Something I'd never been able to do back at my parents' place. I blasted music, danced while making breakfast, cut up on TV shows without Samantha rolling her eyes at my choices. Then, on the second morning, as I was flipping pancakes, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. Samantha, the first, smirked and ignored it. 5 minutes later another call, then another. By the time I finished eating, she'd called 7 times. I debated blocking her, but curiosity got the better of me. Samantha never called unless she needed something. And if she needed something, then something had gone wrong. When the 8th call came in, I finally answered. What? I said flatly. Oh my God, finally, Samantha shrieked. She sounded panicked. Why weren't you answering? I leaned against the counter. Because I don't care. What do you want? We're in trouble, she said, her voice shaky. I raised an eyebrow. Define trouble. She hesitated. Samantha never hesitated unless she was about to lie. We got robbed, she blurted out. Some guy stole all of our money. Mom and Dad are freaking out. And we're stuck here with nothing. I let that sit for a second. Then casually I asked, you got robbed on your perfect little family vacation? Yes, she snapped. We need help, Ethan. I didn't know who else to call. I grinned. Why not call Melissa? Silence. Ah, so she hadn't told her own wife about this mess. Oh, I said, savoring the moment. You didn't tell her, did you? What happened, Samantha? Did the guy steal more than just your money? Shut up, she hissed. This isn't funny. Oh, it's hilarious. She let out a frustrated groan. Are you going to help us or not? I pretended to think. Let me see. Nah, Ethan, she growled. Maybe you can ask one of those locals you love to party with for help. I added sweetly. Oh wait, Ethan, she yelled. I hung up. For the next few hours my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Not just from Samantha. Mom and Dad were in on it now too. Texts, calls, voicemails. The messages all said the same thing. We need your help. Send money. By the end of the day, I had 15 missed calls and a voicemail from Mom trying to guilt-trip me. I thought you were better than this. Ethan, we're your family. I actually laughed out loud at that one. Family. The first typed out a quick text to Samantha. Sorry, but I'm just a roommate. Remember? Then I turned off my phone. 2 days passed after I shut my phone off. 2 blissful, uninterrupted days. I slept in, took long walks around the city and enjoyed meals without the weight of my family's judgment hanging over me. For once I wasn't bracing myself for some backhanded comment or passive-aggressive sigh. Then, early in the morning on the third day, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. One new message from Samantha: "We're coming home. Thanks for nothing." I snorted and tossed my phone onto the couch. Like that was supposed to make me feel bad. A few hours later, as I was making coffee, I heard the unmistakable sound of car doors slamming outside. Then came Mom's voice, sharp and agitated, barking orders about luggage. I leaned against my window, sipping my coffee, watching them unload the car. Dad looked exhausted, his shoulders hunched. Mom was red-faced, gesturing wildly as she spoke. And Samantha stormed up to the front door, her entire body radiating fury. Melissa trailed behind her, hauling luggage inside. When she saw me through the window, she gave me a small, almost apologetic nod. I took my time finishing my coffee before heading downstairs. As soon as I stepped into the hallway, Samantha spotted me. "You're unbelievable," she snapped, pointing an accusing finger at me. "We needed you, and you just ignored us." I crossed my arms. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize roommates were responsible for covering each other's vacations." Her face turned an impressive shade of red. "You think this is funny? I think it's karma," I said casually. Dad, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. "This isn't a joke, Ethan. We were stranded in a foreign country with no money. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was?" "Humiliating?" I repeated, raising an eyebrow. "You mean like being told I don't belong in my own family?" Mom let out an exasperated sigh, rubbing her temples. "Why do you always have to be so difficult? We're your family, Ethan. Families help each other." I laughed. "That's funny. Last week I was just a burden, remember? Or did you forget?" Samantha, who had been pacing angrily, finally exploded. "You're such a child. Do you have any idea how much stress you've caused us? Do you even care?" I met her glare head on. "No," I said, "I don't." Samantha's jaw dropped. "You don't care," she repeated, almost as if she couldn't believe it. I took a step forward. "Why should I? You've spent years making sure I was the outsider. You've twisted every situation to make yourself look better and me look worse. You've manipulated Mom and Dad into believing whatever story suits you. And now, when you finally need something from me, you expect me to just forget all of that." The room went dead silent. For the first time in years, Samantha didn't have an immediate comeback. Mom looked like she wanted to say something, but before she could, someone else spoke. "She's right." Everyone turned to Melissa. Samantha's head snapped toward her wife, her expression a mix of shock and betrayal. "What?" Melissa, normally quiet and passive in these family arguments, stood firm. "Ethan's right. You treat him like garbage and then wonder why he won't help you. Maybe if you actually respected him, he'd feel differently." The room was so quiet, I could hear the distant hum of traffic outside. Samantha looked like she'd just been slapped. "I can't believe you're taking his side," she hissed. "I'm not taking sides," Melissa said, her voice steady. "I'm just saying you can't treat people like they're disposable and expect them to come running when you need help." I wasn't sure what shocked me more, the fact that Melissa had finally stood up to her, or the fact that for once, I wasn't the only one calling Samantha out. Dad, ever the peacekeeper, cleared his throat. "Look, we've all been through a lot this week. Let's just move on and put this behind us." I exhaled a slow breath. "Yeah," I said, "let's put it behind us." Then I grabbed my bag from the couch. "In fact, let's put all of this behind us. Because I'm done." Mom frowned. "Done? I'm moving out," I said tonight. Samantha scoffed. "Oh, please. You said that before." I met her gaze unwavering this time. "I mean it. And I'm not coming back without waiting for a response." I turned and headed upstairs, leaving them all in dun silence. That night, as I packed my bags, I made a call. The only person in my family who had ever truly been on my side. Grandpa. A warm chuckle greeted me on the other end of the line. "Ethan, it's been a while, kid." I swallowed hard, my throat tightening. "Can I come stay with you for a bit?" There was no hesitation. "Of course," Grandpa said. "You don't need them, son. Come on over. Stay as long as you need." For the first time in years, I felt free. The next morning, I didn't say goodbye. I simply walked out and never looked back. 2 days after I moved in with Grandpa, I was starting to feel like I could finally breathe. His apartment was small but cozy, filled with old books and the smell of freshly brewed coffee. It was the kind of place that felt like home, something my parents' house had never been. He never cried, never pushed me to talk about what had happened. Instead, he just let me be. And that, more than anything, made me feel safe. But of course, my past wasn't ready to let me go. On the third morning, my phone rang. The number was unfamiliar and at first, I almost ignored it. Probably just another scam call, but something in my gut told me to answer. Hello, is this Ethan Carter? The voice was calm, professional. Too professional. Yes, I said slowly. Who's asking? This is Detective Ramirez with the county police. My stomach dropped. Excuse me, we're investigating a report involving your family. He continued. Your sister, Samantha Carter, has filed a complaint against you. She claims you made threats against her safety before she left for vacation. For a second, I thought I'd misheard him. Threats? I let out a disbelieving laugh. Are you serious? I understand this may come as a surprise. He said, voice still neutral. But we have to investigate every report. Would you be willing to come down to the station tomorrow morning for a few questions? I gritted my teeth. Samantha was really going there. She couldn't manipulate me into giving her money. So now, she was trying to drag me down another way. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. Fine, I said, I'll be there. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. Grandpa noticed immediately. What's wrong? I told him everything. He sighed, shaking his head. That girl has no shame, he muttered. But don't worry. She doesn't have a leg to stand on. Let's go clear this up. The next day, we walked into the station together. Detective Ramirez was younger than I expected. Sharp-eyed and composed. He gestured for me to sit. I'm going to be honest with you, he said, folding his hands on the table. Your sister's story isn't holding up. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, she said you threatened to hurt her. He explained. But when we asked for details, she couldn't give us any. Her story kept changing. I exhaled slowly. Of course it did. She's lying. I said simply. Ramirez nodded. That's what it looks like. Frankly, this seems more like a personal vendetta than a legitimate case. We're dropping the charges. But I wanted to warn you, people like this don't give up easily. You might want to keep your distance. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Yeah, I muttered. Trust me, that was already the plan. When we got back to Grandpa's place, there was an envelope waiting for me on the table. What's this? I asked. Came for you while we were out. Grandpa said, from someone named Melissa. I frowned. Melissa, Samantha's wife. I opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper, handwritten and neat. Slanted letters. I need to talk to you. It's important. Call me. I stared at the note. My heartbeat picking up. Why would Melissa reach out to me? What could possibly be so important that she was going behind Samantha's back to contact me? Against my better judgment, I pulled out my phone and dialed her number. She answered on the first ring. Ethan, she breathed, sounding relieved. Thank God. I didn't know if you'd even read the letter. I sat down, gripping the edge of the table. Melissa, what's going on? She hesitated. It's Samantha, she said, voice tense. She's hiding something. Something big. And I don't know who else to turn to. A chill ran down my spine. What do you mean hiding something? I asked. Melissa took a deep breath. I don't want to say too much over the phone. Can we meet in person? I should have said no. After everything Samantha had put me through, the last thing I wanted was to get dragged back into a mess. But there was something in Melissa's voice. Something that told me this wasn't just more family drama. This was serious. Fine, I said. But this better be good. We agreed to meet the next day at a small cafe outside of town. When I arrived, Melissa was already there, nursing a cup of coffee, looking more stressed than I'd ever seen her. She motioned for me to sit, and as soon as I had, she leaned forward. Ethan, she said quietly, Samantha lied to everyone. I snorted. Tell me something I don't know. No, she said urgently. I mean everything. The robbery? It wasn't random. She planned it. I froze. What? Melissa swallowed hard. She was working with the guy who robbed us. She said she gave him the money on purpose. She told me it was an investment or something. But I found out she's been draining my accounts too. I think she's in serious debt. And she's trying to cover it up. I leaned back in my chair, my mind racing. This wasn't just manipulation anymore. This was criminal. And the police report against you, Melissa added. That was just her way of distracting everyone. She figured if you were in trouble, no one would look too closely at her. I exhaled slowly, trying to process it all. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Melissa met my gaze, looking exhausted. Because I don't know what to do. I can't trust her. I can't go to your parents. They'll just take her side. You're the only one who actually sees her for what she is. For the first time in a long time, I felt something I hadn't felt for my sister in years. Pity. I rubbed a hand over my face. I'll think about it, I finally said. But if you want my help, you need to be ready to expose her. No more covering for her. Melissa hesitated. Then, slowly, she nodded. I'm ready. I wasn't sure she was. But I knew one thing for certain. Samantha had finally crossed a line she couldn't talk her way out of. And this time, she was going to pay for it. The confrontation came sooner than I expected. The morning after my meeting with Melissa, I was in Grandpa's kitchen, sipping coffee when someone banged on the door. Before I could even stand, Melissa stormed in. She knows, she blurted out, her face pale. I set my cup down slowly. Melissa, I said, start from the beginning. She ran a shaky hand through her hair. I told her I knew about the stolen money. She lost it, screamed at me, denied everything, then admitted it like it was some kind of game. And now she's threatening to leave and take everything with her. I sighed, already exhausted. What do you want me to do about it? She's dragging your parents into it too, Melissa said. She convinced them that I'm the problem. They're on their way over to talk to me, and I need someone to back me up. I hesitated. This wasn't my fight. I'd finally gotten away from Samantha's mess. I was free. But then I looked at Melissa. At the way her hands were shaking. At the way she looked like me. The way I used to look when I was stuck in that house. Gaslit into thinking I was always in the wrong. I let out a breath. Fine. I muttered. But this is the last time. When we arrived at Melissa's apartment, my parents were already there. Mom and Dad sat stiffly on the couch while Samantha paced the room, talking a mile a minute. She stopped mid-sentence when she saw me walk in. What is he doing here? She snapped. Melissa squared her shoulders. I invited him. Samantha scoffed. Of course you did. I ignored her and turned to my parents. Let's cut the theatrics. I said. Mike knows about the robbery. He knows about the money. And I know about the fake police report. Mom gasped. What is he talking about? She's lying. Samantha said immediately, her voice trembling just enough to sound believable. She's trying to turn you against me. Stop. Melissa said sharply. I have proof. She pulled out a stack of papers, bank statements, text screenshots, even a copy of the false police report. She laid them on the coffee table and the room fell into complete silence. Mom and Dad read through them slowly. Dad looked up first, his face pale. Samantha, he said, tell me this isn't true. Samantha's lower lip trembled. Then the performance began. She burst into loud dramatic sobs, clutching her chest like she'd been personally victimized. I only did it because I was desperate. She wailed. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I rolled my eyes. You didn't mean to get robbed? I asked. You didn't mean to steal from your wife or lie to the police? She spun on me. Shut up, Ethan. This is your fault. I blinked. Excuse me. Her face twisted with rage. If you had just left like I told you, none of this would have happened. I actually laughed. You blaming me for your crimes. Classic. Dad stood up, rubbing his temples. We need to go, he muttered to Mom. Mom's eyes darted to Samantha. Uncertain. What about her? Dad exhaled, his voice strangely cold. She's not our problem anymore. Samantha's jaw dropped. What? She whispered. You did this to yourself. Dad said. We can't help you anymore. For the first time in my life, I watched my parents walk away from her. They left the apartment without another word and Samantha stood there, frozen. When she finally turned to me, her face was burning with rage. Are you happy now? She hissed. I grinned. Ecstatic. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. For a long moment no one spoke. Then Melissa let out a shaky breath and turned to me. Thank you, she said quietly. I don't know what I would have done without you. I shrugged. You would have figured it out. I said. You're stronger than you think. And for the first time in years, I actually meant it. In the weeks that followed, things started falling into place. Melissa filed for divorce and cut Samantha off financially. My parents tried to pretend none of this had ever happened, but I stopped returning their calls. As for Samantha, last I heard she was couch surfing, still trying to talk her way out of the she made. And me, I was sitting in my new apartment, sipping coffee, watching the sunrise when my phone buzzed. A message from Melissa. Hey, just wanted to say thanks again. I hope you're doing well. I smiled and typed back a quick reply. Doing great. Hope you are too. For the first time in my life, I wasn't looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next disaster. I was finally free, and I wasn't going back. Story 2. I don't know why I'm writing this now. Maybe it's for closure. Maybe it's for someone out there going through the same thing, hoping to find a way forward. Either way, this is my story. It was February 2022 when my world fell apart. At the time, I was working as a contract consultant for a tech company, which meant I traveled occasionally, but also had the flexibility to work from home. My wife, Lauren, had a high-profile job in corporate finance. Demanding, lucrative, and as I would soon learn, all-consuming. We'd been married for 3.5 years together for almost 5. I met her at a mutual friend's barbecue, and from the moment we started talking, it was electric. She was sharp, confident, and had this effortless way of making people gravitate toward her. I was rough around the edges, but for some reason she liked that. We fell fast and hard, moving in together after a year and getting married soon after. The first couple of years were amazing, passionate, exciting, everything I'd ever wanted in a marriage. We had plans: buy a house, maybe start a family, but things started to shift, slowly at first, so subtle that I almost didn't notice. Her late night at the office became more frequent, and her weekend work events became routine. At first, I didn't question it. She was climbing the corporate ladder, and I knew that came with long hours, but the distance between us kept the first clue. It was a random Thursday evening in January when I saw it. I was helping her bring in groceries from her car, when something caught my eye: a pink lace bra, barely peeking out from under the passenger seat. Lauren didn't wear pink lingerie, at least, not for me. I froze. My mind raced through a million explanations, each one sounding more absurd than the last. I picked it up, turned it over in my hands, feeling the lace between my fingers. Had she changed her style? Maybe she bought it on a whim. Maybe it fell out of a shopping bag. But deep down, I knew. I shoved the thought away, telling myself I was being paranoid. But from that moment on, I started noticing other things: the way she flinched when I walked into the room while she was on her phone, the sudden change in her perfume, the way she avoided eye contact when I asked about her day, the confirmation. The following Friday, I decided to surprise her. I left work early, picked up her dinner. I set the table, lit candles, even put on a nice shirt. When she walked in, I saw the brief flicker of guilt in her eyes before she masked it with a forced smile. "Oh wow, this looks amazing," she said, slipping off her heels. "Thought we could have a nice night together," I replied, watching her closely. She hesitated. I actually have plans with some colleagues tonight. Team bonding." She didn't even sit down. Something inside me cracked. "Cancel," I said. She blinked at me. "What?" I said. "Cancel. Just this once. Stay with me." Her jaw tightened. "You know I can't do that at him. Work is important." I didn't argue. I just nodded, pushing down the sick feeling in my stomach. "Okay, have fun." She's sad, looking almost annoyed at my lack of fight. "Don't be like this." I watched her walk toward the bathroom to freshen up before heading out. That's when I made my decision. I grabbed my work phone and slipped it into her car's back seat. With GPS tracking enabled, I could see where she went in real time. I felt sick even doing it, but I had to know. The betrayal. An hour later, I was parked across the street from a bar downtown, staring at her car. It was right where the tracker had led me. I waited, and then I saw them. She walked out with a man, tall, well-dressed, about her age. I recognized him from company events. One of her executives. I told myself maybe it was innocent. Maybe they were just getting a ride together. Then he leaned in and kissed her. I felt the air leave my lungs. They got into his car and drove off. I followed, my hands gripping the wheel so tightly, I thought I'd break it. 10 minutes later, they pulled into a hotel parking lot. I watched them walk in, hand in hand, laughing. I sat there for what felt like hours, my mind blank. The rage, the betrayal, the heartbreak. It all crashed over me at once. And then I drove. I drove out of town, past the city limits, past anything familiar. I just needed to get away. Eventually, I found myself at a quiet little bar off the highway, the kind where nobody asks questions. I ordered a drink, barely aware of my surroundings. "You look like hell," the bartender said, placing the glass in front of me. I gave her a weak smile. "Yeah, feels like it too." A man a few stools down turned to me. "Bad night, you could say that." He studied me for a moment. "Let me guess. Woman trouble?" I let out a humorless laugh. "Something like that." He nodded. "Been there." And just like that, we started talking. His name was Jake, and he had his own share of war stories: cheating ex, bitter divorce, starting over. But he wasn't bitter. He had found a way to move on, to build a new life. And then he said something that stuck with me. "You got two choices, man. You can let this break you, or you can use it as a fresh start." I thought about that all night. By the time I got home, I had made my decision. I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to beg for answers or scream or fight. I was just going to leave quietly, completely, and let her deal with the consequences. I woke up the next morning feeling numb, as if the night before it had been some twisted dream. But the moment I turned my head and saw Lauren sleeping soundly beside me, reality came crashing back. She had come home late as expected. I didn't ask her anything. She didn't offer any explanations. Just climbed into bed and drifted off like nothing had happened. I lay there staring at the ceiling, wondering how I had let it get this far. I should have confronted her. I should have screamed, demanded answers, made her feel even a fraction of the agony she had caused me. But no, she didn't deserve my anger. She didn't deserve my pain. She deserved silence. And that's exactly what I was going to give her. Planning my exit over the next few days, I played the part of the oblivious husband. I still kissed her goodbye in the mornings. Still made small talk over dinner when she was actually home. I even asked about work, nodding along as she fed me half-truths. But behind the scenes, I was setting everything in motion. While she was at work, I slowly started moving my things out. Clothes, electronics, personal documents all packed neatly into boxes and transported out of our apartment. It was a slow process, but I knew I had time. She was too preoccupied with business trips to notice. I had already made arrangements with Jake. He'd offered me a spot on his land, a small trailer tucked away near the foothills. Secluded, peaceful, exactly what I needed. One night as she was getting ready to head out for yet another networking event, she finally noticed. Something was off. "You've been acting weird," she said, adjusting an earring in the mirror. "Is something wrong?" I forced a small smile. "Just work stress." She nodded, satisfied with that answer. "Yeah, I get it. You should take a break. Maybe we can plan a weekend trip soon." I almost laughed at the irony. Plan a trip together while she was actively screwing another man. "Maybe," I said instead, my voice hollow. She kissed my cheek. "I'll be back late. Don't wait up." I didn't. That was the last night I ever slept in our apartment. The escape. The next morning while she was at work, I finished what I started. I took everything I needed, leaving behind anything that tied me to her. I didn't touch her belongings. Didn't take anything we had bought together. I left a single note on the kitchen table, my wedding ring placed neatly on top of it. I hope it was worth it. No anger. No accusations. Just a statement. Then I walked out the door, got into my truck and drove away without looking back. I had no plan beyond getting away. No idea what the future held for me. All I knew was that I was finally free. The aftermath. I settled into my new life quickly. The trailer was small, but it had everything I needed. A bed, a small kitchen, a shower that barely had enough pressure. But it worked. More importantly, it was mine. Jake helped me get set up. And over time, I met a handful of locals who didn't ask too many questions. I liked that. I wasn't ready to share my story with anyone just yet. Lauren didn't notice I was gone right away. I had blocked her number before I even left town, but she figured it out soon enough. At first it was just a few texts and missed calls. Then more. Then dozens. I ignored every single one. Then came the emails. "Where are you? Why won't you answer me? Adam, this isn't funny. We need to talk. If this is about work, I promise I'll take time off. Just call me." And then finally, "I know you know." I stared at those words for a long time. No excuses, no pretending. Just a quiet admission of guilt. But it didn't change a thing. I didn't respond. Her desperation. A week passed. Then another. Her messages became more frantic. "Please, Adam. We can fix this." I was stupid. It didn't mean anything. "I love you. Just tell me where you are." I never told her. Then the anger set in. "You're a coward. You just ran instead of talking to me. How could you throw everything away without even trying? I made a mistake. But you're the one who abandoned us." Us. That word made me laugh. There was no us anymore. She had made sure of that. Eventually, the messages slowed down, and after a while, they stopped altogether. That was when I finally started to breathe again. A new beginning. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. I settled into a rhythm. Mornings were spent running the trails. Afternoons working remotely. Evenings sitting on the porch watching the sunset over the hills. One day, while out for a run, I stopped to help a woman change a flat tire on the side of the road. She was about my age, maybe a little younger. With an easy smile and a quick wit, we talked, laughed a little. She called me her mountain man after I managed to get the tires swapped out in record time. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something other than bitterness. I wasn't in a rush for anything, but it was nice to feel something again. I wasn't sure where life would take me next, but I knew one thing. I was never going back. Life got quiet after I left, and I liked it that way. Morning started with the crisp mountain air, my feet pounding the dirt trails as I ran, the steady rhythm clearing my head. Afternoons were spent working, sipping coffee on the porch, answering emails from clients who had no idea I was doing business from a tiny trailer in the middle of nowhere. Evenings, I'd sit outside, listening to the sounds of the forest, letting the peace settle into my bones. For the first time in years, I felt free. The messages from Lauren had stopped weeks ago. I figured she had finally accepted it. Maybe she had moved on with her affair partner. Maybe she was still trying to untangle the mess she had made. Either way, I didn't care. I had a new life now. And then one morning, the past came knocking. The encounter. It was a Saturday. I'd gone into town to grab groceries and stopped at my usual coffee shop, the only place nearby with good wifey. I was halfway through my drink, finishing up some reports, when I heard a familiar voice. Adam. My stomach dropped. I turned my head slowly and there she was. Lauren. She stood across the street. Her eyes locked onto mine. Her face a mix of shock and something else, relief. Maybe she looked different. Not worse. Not better. Just different. Like life had been hard on her since I left. I didn't move. Didn't say a word. Just watched as she hurried across the street, stopping a few feet in front of me, hesitating, like she wasn't sure what to do. Then before I could react, she reached out, like she was about to touch me. I stepped back, hands up, a silent don't. Her face crumbled. I've been looking for you, she said. I didn't respond. Can we talk? She asked, her voice softer now. I should have said no. I should have walked away, but I was tired of running, so I nodded. We found a bench at the end of the street. I sat with my arms crossed, waiting. She stared at me, taking in my beard, my leaner frame. You look different, she said. I didn't reply. She sighed, running a hand through her hair. I guess I should just say it. I'm sorry. For everything. I tilted my head. For what, exactly? She swallowed. For cheating. For lying. For breaking us. I said nothing. She kept going. After you left, things fell apart, she admitted. My boss found out. Work got messy. I had to resign. I kept my face blank. Ben. She stopped, correcting herself. He tried to blame it all on me. He got transferred to another department. His fiancée found out. She left him. She let out a humorless laugh. Guess karma came for both of us. Still, I said nothing. Her voice cracked. I ended things with him the day you left. It wasn't worth it. None of it was. I was selfish. Adam. I got caught up in work. An ambition. She exhaled, shaking her head. I thought I was building something, but all I did was destroy everything that actually mattered. I leaned back against the bench. So why are you here? Her eyes met mine. Because I wanted to see you. Because I needed to apologize. Because I was hoping maybe we could try again. I let that sit between us for a moment. Then I laughed. Just a little. Her face fell. You think we can just start over? I asked, shaking my head. Like none of it happened. No, she whispered. She looked down, swallowing hard. I just miss you. I studied her. The regret was real. The sadness, the loss. But that didn't change a damn thing. I took a slow breath. Let me ask you something. If I had been the one who cheated, would you have forgiven me? She hesitated. In time. If we were through it. If we went to counseling. Maybe. I nodded. Maybe in 5 or 10 years I could do the same. Her breath caught. I'd wait, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I sighed. No, you wouldn't. She looked like she wanted to argue, but she didn't. Instead, she did something I hadn't expected. She reached out, took both of my hands in hers and whispered, "Love you." And for the first time since this all started, I felt something shift inside me. Not love, not anger, not even pain. Closure. I pulled my hands away gently. I hope you find peace, Lauren. She nodded, blinking fast, as if holding back tears. Take care, Adam. And just like that, she stood, turned and walked away. I didn't want her go. Didn't let myself wonder if she'd look back. I just sat there staring at the mountains in the distance, feeling light for the first time in years. Moving forward, the next few weeks felt different, lighter, like a chapter had finally closed. I wasn't bitter anymore. I wasn't angry. I was free. Life went on. I kept running, kept working, kept building something new, something just from me. And one day, while out on the trail, I ran into her again, not Lauren, someone else, the woman with the flat tire, the one who called me her mountain man. Her name was Claire. In this time, I didn't run away. Maybe this was how it was supposed to be. Maybe leaving wasn't the end of my story. Maybe it was just the beginning.